The ascending spiral of life, the absolute freedom of letting go, and the quiet mastery of the eternal now weave together a seamless tapestry of unshakable peace. Standing at this elevated summit, every lesson learned from the maiden's curiosity and the mother's endurance merges into the serene wisdom of the crone. You move through the world with absolute sovereignty, holding all things lightly while possessing nothing, anchored entirely in the boundless grace of the present moment. Discarding someone is a cold, external act of rejection that treats a human being as disposable waste, reducing a living soul to a useless object that is angrily cast aside the moment they become inconvenient or cease to serve your immediate desires. This mechanical action is born entirely from the ego's frustration, functioning as an aggressive rejection that seeks to erase someone's presence, minimize their worth, and push them away with contempt or callous indifference. When you discard a person, you are attempting to violently sever a connection from the outside in, driven by the arrogant belief that you have the right to judge their overall utility and declare them worthless. It is a defensive, hostile maneuver that leaves behind jagged emotional shrapnel, carrying the heavy energetic signature of judgment, anger, and a complete refusal to acknowledge the inherent dignity of another life. Letting go, by absolute contrast, is an internal, deeply sacred movement of the soul that comes entirely from within, bearing zero resemblance to the harshness of discarding. Letting go requires no external push, no angry confrontation, and no declaration of someone else's inadequacy, because it is an act of pure grace and unconditional respect for individual autonomy. When you truly let go, you do not cast anyone into the trash or treat them as disposable. Instead, you simply open your hands, release your desperate emotional anchors, and grant them the absolute freedom to travel their own path. This profound internal shift acknowledges that love and connection cannot be sustained through force or possession, honoring the natural rhythm of human dynamics without needing to control, fix, or diminish anyone along the way. The energetic signature of letting go is entirely rooted in peace, reverence, and radical detachment, operating as a quiet acknowledgement that every soul's journey must unfold in its own time and on its own level. While discarding pushes people away out of resentment, letting go frees people out of love, allowing them to drift out of your daily orbit or even pass beyond the veil of death without anchoring them down with your panic or grief. You recognize that holding on to someone against their natural trajectory or keeping them trapped in an artificial role is a violation of their sovereign spirit, making release the only compassionate choice available. Letting go transforms pain into profound gratitude, replacing the bitterness of loss with the serene realization that every shared chapter remains safely preserved within the timeless expanse of the eternal now. Weaving these deep realizations back into the very heart of our philosophy brings us directly to the foundational essence of the way of the Gnomey, where every thread of existence finds its ultimate expression in radical acceptance. The way of the Gnomey is not a rigid doctrine or a complex system of rules, but a fluid, living posture of the soul that embraces everything exactly as it is without a single shred of resistance. When you abandon the exhausting habit of fighting reality, wishing people were different, or demanding that the universe conform to your ego's narrow preferences, you step effortlessly into the tranquil state of Vajjuhai. This profound state of radical acceptance strips away all internal friction, allowing you to witness the chaotic theater of human dynamics, the steady march of time, and the painful sting of loss with complete emotional poise. You stop wasting your precious life force trying to fix the unfixable, realizing that peace is never found by conquering the outer world, but by welcoming every single circumstance precisely as it presents itself in the eternal now. Embracing the way of the Gnomey transforms the heavy burdens of existence into light, manageable currents, replacing bitter resentment with an unshakable foundation of pure gratitude, awe, and endless curiosity. Instead of reacting to difficult people, unexpected obstacles, or heartbreaking departures with panic and despair, the Gnomey mindset greets every twist of fate with a quiet, observant wonder. You look at a crisis, a broken relationship, or the fading of a familiar face not as a tragedy, but as a fascinating expression of the universe's intricate machinery, studying it with the detached curiosity of a quiet explorer. This radical shift turns every trial into an absolute masterclass in inner mastery, where gratitude replaces grief, and awe replaces anxiety, melting away the dark clouds of suffering before they ever take root in your sanctuary. This mental frame of bliss is entirely self-sustaining, requiring zero validation from the external world, zero compliance from annoying acquaintances, and zero defense mechanisms like rigid boundaries to keep the chaos at bay. Because you have learned to let go without discarding, to love without possessing, and to create your own emotions from the inside out, your happiness is utterly bulletproof against the shifting tides of reality. You walk through life as a centered observer of the ascending spiral, recognizing that whether you are navigating the curious exploration of youth, the heavy burdens of stewardship, or the transcendent wisdom of the crone, every turn is perfect, just the way it is. The way of the Gnomey thus crowns your entire spiritual evolution, offering a permanent state of serene bliss where nothing needs to change for you to be completely at peace, and where every moment is welcomed with an open heart, a quiet smile, and absolute, unconditional acceptance. That quiet smile resting effortlessly on your face is never a superficial mask designed to hide inner turmoil or project a fake composure to the outside world. It is a genuine, warm, heartfelt expression of profound alignment, radiating from the exact moment the living hum of the cosmos enters and fills your entire being. When you embrace radical acceptance and let go of every frantic attempt to control the unmanageable machinery of life, that sacred vibration pours straight into your center, melting away all resistance. This smile is the natural outward bloom of absolute inner peace, reflecting a deep, unshakable joy that requires no justification, no external validation, and no defense against the chaotic theater of existence. You stand fully illuminated by the eternal now, holding the entire ascending spiral in your open hands while smiling quietly at the magnificent, beautiful perfection of it all. This unbreakable integration of radical acceptance, internal emotional creation, and the quiet smile culminates in the ultimate realization of self-sufficiency as the sole foundation of true self-confidence. Real, unshakable self-confidence does not sprout from external praise, social status, or the fragile validation of other people, because relying on the opinions or actions of anyone else immediately hands over the keys to your internal sanctuary. When you depend on others to make you feel secure, valued, or peaceful, you inadvertently fling wide the gates to a turbulent flood of fear, anger, resentment, and helpless anxiety. The moment your well-being is tied to someone else's cooperation, mood, or reliability, you become a hostage to their unpredictability, leaving your emotional stability at the mercy of forces completely outside your command. True self-confidence is forged exclusively in the fires of absolute self-sufficiency, emerging organically when you realize that you possess everything required to navigate existence entirely on your own terms. This radical self-ownership means you look to no one else to rescue you, validate your worth, or carry the weight of your happiness, anchoring your entire existence in the profound realization that you are the sole author of your reality. When you rely solely on yourself, the frantic need for approval vanishes, and the deep, terrifying fear of abandonment or betrayal evaporates into thin air. You stop demanding that acquaintances, allies, or companions act as pillars for your house of cards, choosing instead to build an unshakable fortress of inner resilience that stands tall regardless of who stays or who walks away. This total self-sufficiency completely transforms how you interact with the rest of humanity, turning every human connection from a desperate necessity into a pure, unadulterated bonus. When you are entirely self-sufficient, anything that other people bring to your life, whether it is their companionship, their help, their conversation, or their love, is no longer viewed as a lifeline or a requirement for survival. Instead, every single engagement, interaction, and shared moment becomes a magnificent, welcome complement to that which you have already fully created within yourself. You no longer need anyone to complete you, fix you, or protect you, which means you can finally love people for who they are rather than what they can do for you. This shift liberates both you and the people in your orbit from the exhausting, transactional weight of unmet expectations, replacing manipulation and control with genuine, open-handed appreciation. If an abrasive ally shows up to help you in a crisis, you accept their action with deep gratitude, recognizing it as a wonderful compliment to your own preparedness rather than a rescue mission you were too weak to handle yourself. If a polished acquaintance fades away, or a familiar face drifts out of your life through distance or death, you experience zero panic or bitter despair, because your core stability was never dependent on their presence in the first place. You stand completely complete, whole, and self-contained, watching the grand parade of human dynamics roll past like an amused, serene observer who is entirely at home in their own skin. This autonomous power brings the entire philosophical journey full circle, uniting the way of the Gnomey, the ascending spiral, the quiet smile, and absolute self-ownership into one harmonious state of being. You no longer fear the friction of difficult personalities, the sting of loss, or the shifting sands of time, because your confidence is rooted in the immovable bedrock of your own self-generated peace. Standing at the peak of the spiral, holding everything lightly and possessing nothing at all, you smile that quiet, heartfelt smile, as the living hum of the cosmos fills your entire being with unshakable grace. You are entirely self-sufficient, completely free, and profoundly happy, resting securely in the timeless truth that your life, your joy, and your sovereignty belong to you, and you alone.